But I also want to continue the legacy of Sage. And one of the things that we learned running Sage was that there is a whole wealth of wonderful stories about wisdom and experiences out there. We heard a lot of them when we dealt with our elderly clients. My staff and I would often, at the end of a project, do a recap about the wonderful experiences and adventures that we'd learned through our clients.
You'd learn lots of stories doing this, right?
Oh gosh, we learned the stories. We learned about the love, the loss, the heartbreak, the lessons they had learned.
Yes.
And the things that they wanted to, the stories that they want to pass on to other generations, the stories that they wanted to keep alive. And sometimes there were family members that became the beneficiaries of those stories. Sometimes there was no family member. Sometimes the family members didn't communicate. And so the story was at risk of being lost.
Right.
And so the podcast that I have now recently launched,
Nice segue here.
the podcast that I have recently launched called Bolder Stories is a platform to keep those stories alive. And it's a platform to share the lives and the adventures and the stories from the mouths of older adults who have stories worth sharing and wisdom that they want to pass down to other generations. And it's called Bolder Stories because if you look at the name, it incorporates the word older, but the B differentiates it because the stories are not old, they're not dusty, they're bold and exciting and vital. And the fact that the person who owns the story might be 80 or 90 or 100 years old doesn't mean that we should ignore them. It means that we should celebrate them.